Hello, I hope everyone's doing well. This is our Zoom recording for the week of 9/15/2025. Before I get going on the math lesson, I do want to put a reminder out. Remember to get at least 3 hours per week. If something comes up, you can make up hours the next week. So if you perhaps last week only got a half hour or 2 hours instead of the 3, you can make that up this week. Or if you only got a half hour last week and making up 2.5 hours is too much for this week, we could split it between this week and next week. If you have any questions on anything that you've been working on, please let me know, and then I can assist you with that. Today, we are going to look at working with decimals in the different operations. So we will start with adding and subtracting decimals. So when we add or subtract decimals, really the most important part is making sure we line up our decimal point. And we do this because our place value with decimals, and I'll just write a random number. Our place value with decimals kind of mirrors our whole numbers. So our 3 here is in our ones place. Our 2 is in our tens place. And then our 1 is in our hundreds place. Then for our decimal, we've got our 4 in our tenths place. Our 5 is in our hundredths place. And our 6 is in our thousandths place. So when we add and subtract with decimals, we want to make sure our decimal points are lined up between our two numbers, and we're going to add things vertically. That way we're making sure our ones places are lining up, our tens places are lining up, and our hundreds places are lining up, along with our tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and so on. We'll do a couple examples with adding and subtracting. We'll start with an adding. If I had 2.83 plus 5.4. I'm going to want to set this up to add vertically. So I'm going to put my 2.83 down. I'm going to go ahead and line up my decimal point. And I've got 5.4. So we've got stuff in our ones place for both numbers, stuff in our tenths place for both numbers, and then our top number, our 2.83, has something in the hundredths place, but our 5.4 doesn't. So I'm actually going to put a placeholder 0 there, just so that I don't get lost when I add. So when I add these, I'm going to add my 3 plus my 0 for 3, and then 8 plus 4 for 12. And I need to carry my 1. Then I bring my decimal point straight down and add 5 plus 2 plus 1 to get 8. So when we add 2.83 plus 5.4, we get 8.23. For subtracting with decimals, we do the same thing as when we add with decimals. We need to make sure we line up our decimal points. If I had 2.089 minus 1.59, I want to line this up vertically. So I'm going to do 2.089. I'm going to put my decimal point down so that it's there, and then line up 1.59. And I'm subtracting. So I'll do the same thing as before. I'm going to go ahead and put down a placeholder 0, just so that it's there. And I've got 9 minus 0 for 9. Then I have 8 minus 9. I can't take 9 from 8, so I need to borrow. And to borrow for 8, I can't borrow from 0, so I actually need to borrow from my 1's place. So my 2 is going to turn into a 1. My 0 turns into a 10. Now I can borrow from that 10, and my 10 will turn into a 9, and my 8 turns into an 18. 18 minus 9 is 9. Now I can do 9 minus 5, which leaves me with 4. I'll bring down my decimal point, and I have 1 minus 1 for 0. So our answer here is 0.499. And that's adding and subtracting with decimals. Now we'll look at multiplying with decimals. When we multiply with decimals, we want to make sure we do a couple things. Multiply decimals. We multiply decimals. First off, we want to make sure we do this vertically, and we want to line up the last digits. Then we'll multiply normally, like there isn't a decimal. After we've done that, we will move the decimal according to how many digits were after the decimal in our original problem. So when we multiply decimal, it really doesn't feel too different than multiplying with whole numbers. We'll do 2 examples. First, I have 2.83 times 5.4. I want to line these up vertically, so I'm going to line up by my last digits. I'll start with 2.83 times 5.4. I want to make sure my 3 and my 4 are lined up. So I'll start by multiplying 4 by everything on top, and then I'll do the same thing with the 5. So 4 times 3 is 12. We carry our 1. 4 times 8 is 32, plus 1 makes it 33. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 makes 11. Now I'm done with my 4, and I'm done with these that I carried, so I'm marking them out. And I'm going to put a placeholder 0 down because I'm done with my 4. Now I'll multiply 5 times 3 for 15 and carry my 1. 5 times 8 for 40 and add my 1 to that for 41. And lastly, 5 times 2 for 10 and add my 4 to that for 14. Now I can add the two numbers I got. For every digit you have in the bottom row when you multiply vertically, you'll have a row in your answer. So we've got 2 plus 0 for 2, 3 plus 5 for 8, 1 plus 1 for 2, 1 plus 4 for 5, and then bring down our 1. This is where we differ from whole numbers. So we will move our decimal point over according to how many digits we had after the decimal in the original problem. We had 1, 2, 3 digits. We had an 8, a 3, and a 4. So that's 3 digits. We move over 3 places. We'll start at the end of our number because when we don't have a decimal down, it's implied that it's at the end. And we will go over 1 spot, 2 spots, and 3 spots. So that put our decimal point in between the 5 and 2. So our answer here is 15.282. Let's do another multiplication example. I know that last step has thrown some people off before, so I just want to make sure we've got 2 examples under our belt. Here I've got 20.89 times 1.59. I'm going to line these up vertically. 20.89 times, and I want to make sure my last digits are lined up, so I'm going to go ahead and put my 9 down, my 5 down, my point, and my 1. And it looks like our decimals just so happen to line up here, but that's not something that we needed to happen. We'll start by multiplying everything. Okay. I had a strange pop-up on my computer. We'll start by multiplying everything. 9 times 9 is 81. 9 times 8 is 72, and add 8 to that to get 80. Carry our 8. 9 times 0 is 0, but add 8 to that and we get 8. And then 9 times 2 is 18. I'm done with my 9, so I'm actually going to mark it out. We're going to have 3 rows going down once we've multiplied. I'm going to put a placeholder 0 down below that 9 as well, since I'm moving on to my next place value up. And since I wrote so close to the original, I'm just going to erase my 8s instead of marking them out, because I don't need those anymore. Now I'll do 5 times 9 for 45. Carry our 4. 5 times 8 for 40. Add 4 to that to get 44. Carry a 4. 5 times 0 is 0, and add 4 to that to get 4. Then last, we'll do 5 times 2 for 10. Now we're done with our 5. I'm going to erase those 4s that I carried because I'm done with them. We're done with our 5, so I'm going to mark it out. Now I'll have 2 placeholder zeros. And this is our last number on our bottom row, so this will be our last row. Like I said, we've got 3 rows. So we've got 1 times 9 for 9, 1 times 8 for 8, 1 times 0 is 0, and then 1 times 2 is 2. We can add our numbers. 1 plus 0 plus 0 is 1. 0 plus 5 plus 0 is 5. 8 plus 4 is 12. And 12 plus 9 is 21. Carry our 2. 8 plus 2 is 10. 10 plus 4 is 14. And then 8 plus 14 is 22. Carry our 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. And then 3 plus 0 is still 3. Then 1 plus 2 is 3. That was a pretty long multiplication problem, and we're not quite done yet. In our original problem, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 digits after our decimal point, so we're going to move over 4 spots. We start at the end of our number, and we go over 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we wind up between our 3 and our 2. So our final answer is 33.2151. All right, we've got 2 more examples. I want to do some dividing with decimals, and then we'll be done for today. For dividing decimals, it's not too different than just plain long division. We're going to start with 8.43 divided by 6. We want to set this up in a long division problem. So we're going to make our long division box. The 8.43 is going to go on the inside, and our 6 goes on the outside. When we do long division, our first number always goes on the inside, and our second number goes on the outside. We're going to start by comparing our outside number to everything on the inside, 1 digit at a time. We'll start with 6 compared to 8. 6 can go into 8 1 time. 6 times 1 is 6, so we'll subtract 6 from 8, and we're left with 2. Now, before we bring down our 4, we're crossing our decimal point, so we're going to bring it straight up. When you first write your problem, you can put your decimal point right above the decimal on the line, but I like to bring it up when I cross it, just because sometimes maybe I don't write super neat and I might get a little out of line and I don't want my decimal in the wrong spot. So I'm going to bring down my 4 now. 6 goes into 24 4 times. 6 times 4 is 24. We'll subtract, and we're left with 0. Now we'll bring down our 3. 6 goes into 3 0 times, but we've still got a 3 there. So we're going to bring down a 0. You can add more zeros to bring down, because any 0 after our last non-zero number is not going to change our decimal. 6 can go into 30 5 times, and 6 times 5 is 30, so when we subtract, we've got no remainder left. So our solution is 8.43 divided by 6 is 1.405. Now we'll do one more. We've got 29.25 divided by 4.5. In our long division sign, our 29.25 goes on the inside. And our 4.5 is on the outside. Ooh, we've got a decimal on the outside. Before we can actually do this division, we need to move some decimal points over. We don't like to divide long division with a decimal. So what we're going to do is we're going to change our 4.5 into a whole number, and we can do that by multiplying it by 10 or by just moving our decimal point over. So we're going to move it over one spot. 4.5 turns into 45, but we need to keep our equation, our expression balanced. So we need to do the same thing to our other number. If we moved over one spot on one, we move over one spot on the other. So 29.25 turns into 295 or 292.5. So our new problem is 292.5 divided by 45. Now we can plug into our long division. Here I am, writing a little less than neat. Let me try that again. 295.5 divided by 45. So we'll compare one digit at a time. 45 can't go into 2. 45 can't go into 29, but 45 can go into 295. I'm not sure off the top of my head how many times 45 does go into 295, so I'm going to guess 45 is close to 50, 295 is close to 300, 50 would go into 300 6 times, so 45 times 6. I'm going to see how close that gets. 6 times 5 is 30, carry my 3. 6 times 4 is 24. Add my 3 to that, and I get 27. And that's pretty close. I don't think I can get another 45 in there. So 45 goes into 295 6 times. If we subtract, we get 295 minus 270. 5 minus 0 is 5. Nine minus 7 leaves us with 2. And then 2 minus 2 is 0. 45 can't go into 25, so we need to bring stuff down, but we're crossing that decimal point, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring it up. And now I'll bring down my 5. We need to figure out how many times 45 goes into 255. 45 times 6 was 270. I'm gonna guess 45 times, let me write it more to the side, 45 times 5. And we'll see. 5 times 5 is 25, carry a 2. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 is... Oh, I wrote the wrong number in my problem. Okay. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 makes it 22. I wrote the wrong number here. So we'll go ahead and solve this problem instead of this problem. So 225 is smaller than 55. I don't think we can fit another 45 in there, so we'll go ahead and subtract it. 5 minus 5 is 0. 5 minus 2 is 3. And then 2 minus 2 is 0. Oh, and I forgot to put my 5 up there. So we've actually got a remainder of 30. I believe this is going to be one that has a repeating decimal, so we'll just say we're going to cut it off. We'll put a ... at the end. And I'll do the actual problem real quick. So 292.5 divided by 45. 45 goes into, doesn't go into 2, doesn't go into 29, but it does go into 292. And I think that was 6 times. 6 times 5 was 30. 6 times 4 was 24. Plus 3 makes 270. So we got the 6 here and 270. 2, 2. Now we cross our decimal and bring down our 5. And I think 45 times 5 was 225, but I erased it, so I'm going to check. 5 times 5 was 25, carry our 2. 5 times 4 was 20, and that's 22. 225 minus 225 is 0, and I forgot to put my 5 again. So 29.25 divided by 4.5 is 6.5. All right, that's the last one I want to go over today. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out. And that might be what we work on next time. Have a good week.